All right, so we're going to talk about Web3 marketing trends, and stay till the very end, and I'll give you a special offer that we have going on. So number one, first and foremost, I'm going to pull up my screen over here, is email marketing, and I bet you didn't expect that. So with email marketing, here's the thing. Here's a newsletter that I read called The Milk Road. And the great thing about newsletters is that people are very engaged. The Milk Road has over 150,000 subscribers to it, and the open rates are pretty good. And it's just a very simple newsletter on how crypto is going. And you can see at the very end over here, there is they have sponsors, right? So typically they have sponsors. Maybe there's not one over here today, but they have a DAO of the month. Okay, here it is. So today's newsletter is brought to you by Pystro, and basically they write some copy for you, and then they link to whatever project it is, right? So in the world of Web3, you're looking for engagement at the end of the day. And when people want to work with influencers, I look at it in different ways. I look at an email newsletter. In this case, it's written by two people. I look at them as influencers. So if you can reach out to them, I believe that this attention is underpriced, and not enough people are talking about emails. And the Milk Road's a good example of one. CoinStack is another one in the world of Web3, and there's a handful of other. I mean, you can sponsor Blockworks as well. There's Cointelegraph, these other ones that you can definitely sponsor. So that's that. And number two is going to be YouTube. So this is my friend Brett Malinowski here, and he's got about 132,000 subscribers. And for him, he's just constantly writing about NFTs, right? So it's a down market right now, so he's not getting as much views as he was before, but he's still very much an influencer in this space. If you go back 50K, 68K or so, 27K, 176K, right? And so when you're thinking about working with influencers, if you have a special project, going to an influencer like this, most of the time they're actually just down to just interview you, and that's a lot different than running an ad, right? So I think there's two ways of doing it. There's actually getting onto their show. The other one is sponsoring this show. So that is number two. And I think YouTube is underrated right now. I think email is underrated right now because most people are talking about the following channels that I'm going to talk about. So number three is going to be Twitter Spaces, right? So especially if you're doing NFTs or really anything in the world of Web3, Twitter Spaces makes a lot of sense. There are games out there like Big Time. They do Twitter Spaces. New projects, when they're launching, they'll do Twitter Spaces as well. I've even seen exchanges do Twitter Spaces as well. And so it's just a good way to build trust with people, because Twitter Spaces is drop-in audio, right? So when you listen to someone talk for maybe 20, 30 minutes, an hour or so, you're naturally building relationships with people at scale, and people get a feel for what your vibe is, and they decide if they want to know, like, and trust you, and that's what it is at the end of the day. Same thing with YouTube too. They get to understand who you are. The fourth one that's kind of obvious in the world of Web3 would be Discord, right? So Discord AMAs are helpful. When you're able to go into another community, talk about what your project is, talk about how it might benefit that community. That is a good example of something that will work. And you can see that a lot of the stuff that I'm saying right now, I'm not really talking about traditional ads. Even though I have a marketing agency called Single Grain, it's different, right? A lot of this is community driven. A lot of this is driven by influencers, and I actually think that's a good thing, right? Because influencers to me is kind of it's a form of word of mouth marketing. Now, I think we're on number 5 now. Number 5 is podcasts, right? Now, here's the cool thing. If you're going to get on someone's YouTube channel, do an interview there, it's probably going to go on their podcast too. So it's a double win. You get the double dip there. And, for our podcast, the podcast that we have Creators of Web3, we have Marketing School, we have Leveling Up. And podcasting has just been the gift that keeps on giving from an audience perspective, because we're at about 2.1 million monthly downloads right now. And that's really, I think that's where you get to go deep. Same thing with like watching a YouTube video. The problem with the YouTube video is that you get to pause, you get to start doing other stuff. When you're listening to a podcast, you're fully engaged. Maybe you're working out, maybe you're doing chores, maybe you're out running or something like that. But I actually think podcasting as a medium is it's a no-brainer, right? So and I don't think, because Web3 is so new right now, I don't think people have really figured out how to quite price these optimally. So I think there's ways to figure this out. And by the way, if you don't have money to do sponsorships, like if you have a really good offer and maybe you really think about what's in it for the people that are promoting you, then I'm sure you can work something out, right? There's always creative ways to get this done. It doesn't always have to be tied to money when it comes to marketing. Now, naturally, when people talk about PR, PR can really fall into a couple things that I mentioned, but also like old school PR to me is getting placements on blogs, right? So like a Blockworks, a Cointelegraph, an NFT Now. These are all kind of Web3 publications that are out there, and they're getting a lot of organic traffic. So how can you maybe do a guest post, or maybe how can you send the reporter some type of announcement, or you can do a guest post. If you have some money, you can pay some money, and then you can have a native post in there, right? That's maybe dedicated to you. Now, a lot of different ways to do it. I would prefer the more organic route where you have a really good story or you have a really good offer, and then then it can kind of spread that way. So natural PR, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And people, you're looking for distribution at the end of the day, and these reporters control the distribution. So think about where the attention is, and then think about how you can go get that distribution. Now, one that's more obvious would be Twitter ads, because a lot of people in Web3 are hanging out on Twitter, for better or worse. I hope Discord eventually will launch ads. I do believe anything that has a lot of volume down the road will launch ads. I mean, you look at DoorDash, they have ads now. I think Netflix think about launching ads, right? A lot of these, when you have distribution, you naturally kind of just launch an ad network. Now, the final thing from my side, and I believe this is number 8, would be events. Now, when you look at Bitcoin conference, huge event, right? NFT NYC, huge event. You don't necessarily have to do a huge event. What you can do is you can do a satellite event that's tied to it. Maybe you can do a dinner. Like, I like hosting dinners. I like hosting happy hours as well, that are tied to leveling up heroes. And when you do these things, you're able to. What I'm really looking to do is I'm looking to create serendipity, right? So you're able to create serendipity, serendipitous deep relationships, right? When you create an event, a lot of people, it's hard to go deep, but when you're able to maybe have a dinner with 10, 15, 20 people or so, happy hour, maybe there's 40, 50, 60, 70 people or so, you're going to be able to go deep on a handful of conversations, and that's when you're going to have these people evangelize whatever it is that you are doing. And so, that's what it is. Those are just a couple things. Let me know what you think I missed in the comments. And the special thing is, actually, we're doing our next event. If you are a founder if you're a founder, it doesn't even have to be in Web3. If you're a founder, if you go to live.levelingup.com, we're doing our next event. That's where you can go apply. And next one, as of this recording, is actually in Beverly Hills. So you can go learn more about that. And don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button if you enjoyed this. And check out the next video over there. And we will catch you later.